Hello, everyone. Welcome to Live Out Loud Wednesday with Women Empowered. Tonight, again, we are talking about domestic violence. We had a special guest, but that kind of didn't work out, I guess. Personal issues. I didn't get the text, so I don't really know exactly what was going on there, but
Schedule conflictions.
we're still gonna move along with it and just kind of talk about what it means to us. You want to start, Devin?
I can. Um, so I know we already did like a brief podcast on our experiences and things like that. But what domestic violence to me, now that I've been someone who's experienced it previously, um, those red flags, I think we all see them in the beginning, but we try to ignore them, just because we are wanting certain things to work out, searching for something, whatever the case may be. We get those red flags and we choose to avoid them. I think a lot of times situations we get in could be avoided if we just go with that first instinct. Something's not right. Um, abort mission now, leave this. Don't continue things with this person. If I could go back in time and change things and pay attention to those red flags in the beginning, I definitely wouldn't have went through a lot of things that I went through. I don't necessarily regret things that I went through, because those are learned experiences. Do I wish that they would have maybe been differently? Of course. Nobody wants to experience anything negative or in a bad perspective. So, domestic violence to me is just anything that does not feel right. Harsh conversation. If someone seems extremely overprotective, if someone wants to, and that's a fine line in between someone taking lead and being controlling. And I think a lot of us don't know what that specifically is. I didn't know what it was, when I first started dating at 18 and met, my first abuser, which I'm pretty sure I probably had interactions with people who were abusive prior to that, but that's the first main abusive relationship that I was in. He was very controlling in the beginning. I looked at it as, oh, he's interested because he's, doing all these things to show that I'm his girl and making sure no other guy is talking to me and things like that. But then when it trickled to me not being able to be around my friends and me not being able to do anything on my own and things like that is when it started to be abusive. And I didn't realize I slowly had crept into that. And then that's when, you know, the physical abuse started and things like that. So I feel like when you open the door to allow one thing, it's very easy for any other type of abuse to happen. So I think it's best for you to be alert and just know what not to deal with, versus just allowing certain things to happen. And I don't know, that's just what comes to my mind when I first think of domestic violence, and how it happened for me, at least.
Is it safe to say that we all have to just use our own gut instincts in those cases? And if it just doesn't feel right, or if someone's talking to you in a particular type of way and you don't like that, communicate that. And if it continues, then it's like they're not caring about your feelings and respecting you as an individual. And so then at that point, you need to do what it is that you need to do. Because Devin, you and I met in a shelter. And I sat there for a long time thinking, like, I'm not being abused because I affiliated it with being punched and hit and kicked, the physical portion of it. Um, After sitting in classroom after classroom, then I started to feel like, you know what? I am being abused. I'm being emotionally and verbally abused. Um, Now here we are, fast forward umpteen amount of years later, and I have a different look at it. And so it's like what one could think is not abuse and then turns into you think it is abuse could also not be abuse. It all is in how you interpretate it at that time. I felt like because I was going to those classes that they were describing similar situations to what it was that I was going through. Now that I am no longer in any kind of domestic relationship, I look back and I see of all the things that what I thought was abuse was not. I thought that individual was trying to control my life. I thought that individual was trying to, you know, just keep me down and under and all kinds of different things. I look at it and I view it so much different now, but I'm still happy that I took the steps that I took at that time. Um, because had I not ever said that this is how it's making me feel or this is what I've learned being in that shelter, um, I would have never known if I was or wasn't. I would have never known that there is other forms of abuse. I would have always thought like I'm not being physically abused, so I'm good. Um, so I think that we all kind of just have to use our gut instinct on what that looks like. If something's not sitting right with you or isn't making you feel good, um, talk with your partner about it and see if they're willing to make some adjustments. And if they're not, then you need to look out for you.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. And just to be clear, me and Davina met in a domestic violence shelter. So we both were in there, um, like she said, for seemingly two different reasons, but it actually was the same reason.
Mhm.
I was in my second abusive relationship when I actually met her in that shelter. So, I had already gone through 2.5 years of a relationship with one person, left that relationship, got back with an ex from high school, which treated me great in high school. Started dating, ended up getting pregnant with my second daughter. And it seemed like literally as soon as I got pregnant, that Jekyll and Hyde syndrome kicked in, and he was a whole different person. And I wanted to say that only because sometimes we don't even realize there's a switch that goes off in your abuser's mind sometimes. Once they know that they got you, is when they can actually show you who they really are. Um, had that, been shown to me in the beginning because I already experienced something similar, I would have definitely aborted mission right away. I wouldn't have dealt with that for, 2 years that I dealt with him as well. But because of the fact that it was a different approach, it was a different abuse, and everything was different, I just went in with it like, okay, maybe he's just dealing with this, situation badly, whatever the case may be. At that time, I was homeless. I was in a shelter, like I said, met Davina. So life was not great. So, you kind of blame certain things on people's behavior. Maybe he's, dealing with this, and it's bothering him because, he can't do this for us. And at that time, I had two kids, so it was a lot of stress of having two small kids, and all of those things. So I was always making excuses for my partner of why he's always yelling and angry and fighting with me and all of these things. But it was just he's just a bad person. Like, to boil it all down. I mean, I got a kid by him, so which she's 17, will be 18 in May. So he's not a good person. Like, it wasn't just the situation based. But yeah, I just wanted to share that because it does not always look like nobody's going to walk up to you and say, "Hey, my name is Johnny," and punch you in the face.
And I'm an abuser.
You know what I mean? Like, they're gonna come and they're gonna act like they're everything, that you need and want in your life. Especially if let him know what it is you want. That's another thing they do. If you're open and you say, "Hey, I want a man who cooks and cleans and does this and does that," they're gonna do exactly what you have said. So you check off all those boxes for that person and say he's the perfect guy. And then as soon as they know they got you, it's like, I got you now. Now let me show you who I am. And it's about you being strong enough to say, okay, now that I see who you are, I need to leave because this ain't
Mhm.
for me. But, us women having big hearts, we want to be loving and try to change men. Let me tell you, you cannot change a man. You cannot change a grown man. I tried to do it 3 times.
The stripes will always remain the same.
If he don't want to change, he's not going to change. Period, point blank. I don't care what you do for that person. If he does not decide, I want to be different as of today, you're wasting your time. What you got to say, El?
I want to talk about the isolation that comes along with domestic abuse and the leaving of the self worth, because that doesn't get honed in on enough. When you're dealing with a person in an abusive situation, you start to feel a sense of shame. And I don't care how strong you are and how just the most strongest person out here and whatever, it will start to affect you. It will start to take a toll on you. You will start to isolate. You will start to alienate yourself from friends, family, even work, right? Because you'll go to work and you'll be physically there, but you won't be mentally there. But the isolation piece, um, for me and my experiences, came through religion. So it can come through many different forms. Um, the reason why most people isolate is because they are really just in disbelief that they're, I don't want to say allowing this to happen to them, right? Because nobody wants to be abused, but that they got in a situation where this is happening to them. And then when they got in that situation, they are just like in awe themselves, right? They're like shocked that this is even something that they have to deal with, let alone to sit around other people and have to go through it around other people and then have to maybe explain it to other people or other people to see it. So you start to internalize, you start to isolate, you start to be staying to yourself. And then eventually depression sets in even more because you really only feel like you have this person that's causing you all this mental anguish, stress, physical violence, emotional, whatever, because you've pretty much pushed everyone else away because either this person's controlling demeanor has made it impossible for you to have relationships with other people, or you yourself have made it impossible for you to have relationships with other people. Domestic violence is a very lengthy situation and it extends outside of just the treatment, right? And just the abuse itself,
Mhm.
because it goes a very long way. A lot of people are affected by it. Your family, your friends, people that are in your life are equally affected because they lose you. And even though you feel like they may have not lost you because you probably feel like you're protecting them from something, the reality of it is they've lost you. You've lost sense of reality and you've lost yourself. The only thing that you know to do is to deal with your abuser. And so sometimes we start to think that that's the only person that truly loves us. And that's how come we end up staying in those situations longer than we have to stay in those situations. And I really honestly thought that my marriage was my first abusive relationship. And lately, y'all, I've really come to realize I had my first abusive relationship when I was 20. Didn't even realize it. It was verbal, wasn't nothing physical, but it was verbal. And I remember him saying something to me along the lines of, in Texas, they could take their wives to Texas. I mean, first of all, your wife, but whatever. Take your wives to Texas and kill them and chop up the bodies, and nobody will wonder where they're at. Do you know that I could do that to you? And thinking about it at 44 years old is the first time that I really, really realized that the treatment I had in that relationship was the start of it all. Because after that relationship, when I got involved with my daughter's father, he was not abusive to me at all. Like, so you forget about the stuff prior, but Isolation. I was even isolating at 20 years old because I just, that person's love, it was almost like, that's, what is it, love bombing? They want you to believe that nobody loves you more than they do. And, and you start to believe that you don't have anybody but them, or you don't have anybody that cares about you the way that they care about you. That's disgusting, right? It's just disgusting. Like, you don't isolate. You have to find somebody who's a safe person, and you need to communicate with that person. Now, is it always easy? No. I didn't have a safe person. Everybody around me was trying to convince me and coerce me to stay in something through religion, because that's what I was supposed to be doing. Um, Not only isolation, but I want to talk about if we change the situation, it gets better. If you buy a house, it don't change the relationship. The same bodies is going into that house. If you get married, it doesn't change the marriage. That person is still the same person they were before the marriage. But our minds like to trick us and convince us that things will change and things will be different because we're getting married. Things will change because we're moving in a different house. Things will change, but no, don't work that way. So I just have to say, the staying to yourself, the isolation, the avoidance of dealing with other people, putting yourself in a predicament where, you're alone. I'm hoping that people have somebody, a person that they find safe. And if you don't, reach out to Women in Power. We ain't gonna tell nobody. Truthfully, like, because everybody needs somebody, you know.
I think
And that's just what I got
isolation.
to say.
I think isolation also comes from when you're in an abusive relationship and you have people, you start to also isolate yourself because you start to think that you are becoming a burden on others, by constantly and consistently telling them of all of your issues and problems that you're dealing with that significant other. I think communication again is the key on that. Is if you have people that are involved in your life and you're having these discussions and you start to begin to think that you're a burden on them, communicate with them and ask them. Um, because what you think that you are doing too much of may not be the case. And another thing that I would like to touch on is, even in those scenarios of us as women, I don't know so far as if men do it, but I know us as women, when we're in situations with individuals that are abusive to us, um, and we start to speak about it, and then we change our mind and we get that fear of leaving this individual because we are in hopes that they're going to change and stuff. For some weird reason, we start to then make excuses, to other people, and then start to try to prove to them like this will change. So I'm going to hold fast and I'm going to stay in here now, not only to prove to myself, but to prove to others that he's not as bad as it seems. We need to stop doing that, because it doesn't make us look any better. We just now are standing in the shit that we don't think stinks. Um, we got us now a man that's looking like he's an abuser and walking around here, and we're looking like his pet, thinking like nobody really sees this. And in all reality, the world sees it, um, because we start to change the way we talk, we start to change the way we walk, the way we dress, how we carry ourselves, and everything else. And so, thinking that we're tricking people into thinking that it's not that, it is that, and people can see it.
I can agree with that. And I think also it's kind of like it's embarrassing. I mean, nobody wants to actually have to admit that someone is, doing whatever to them, going upside their head, talking crazy to them, taking their money, whatever the abuse is. Nobody wants to admit that. I mean, when I was going through the things I was going through, I think I tried to convince myself, like you said, it's not as bad. Like I'm telling people, like, no, I did this or I said this, and that's why he hit me, or I got a smart mouth, and I always made excuses. And I think it's sad because I've been there. I mean, and when I could see a woman who's going through it. Like I could literally see a person, and just how they talk and how they act, their mannerisms. It's like you could just tell this person is just on the edge of whatever it is they're going through, and it's really sad. And I think sometimes people just don't want to reach out because, like I say all the time, people say, well, what are you really going to do if I tell you? Do you really care? What's really going to change? And it's like, you have no idea. If you don't reach out, you have no idea what we could do to help you. Honestly. The unknown is always scary, right? And it might sound a lot easier than it really is, but it is actually that easy for you just to walk away and for you to be happy and for you not to allow someone to dictate your life. I started my life over 3 different times. Like this is my fourth life. I feel like I'm living only because I literally had to start over, and nobody wants to do that. My life before now, we both had 2 cars each. We, were renting a house. We didn't own a house. I had disposable money that I felt like was mine, but of course I had to account for what I'm spending things on and things like that. But I was miserable. I was miserable. So it's like, okay, yeah, you might have all these things in this type of lifestyle, but are you really happy? Are your kids happy? Is it really worth
Things things don't make or break a relationship. Like, stop believing that things, people need to stop. We're all guilty of it at some point. Things are going to make or break a relationship. Those things, that person is that person. They're going to be who they are. That's just what I said 10 minutes ago. But the reality of it is they're going to be who they are. And I'm going to be extremely like transparent. Sex be partially responsible for why people be staying in these relationships, because people want that emotional connection and attachment so bad. A man could go out and do whatever to you and come back in, and excuse my French, but I'm about to get G with y'all, dick you down, right? And hug on you, kiss on you, and tell you that they love you and they sorry, and you will forget all of whatever has taken place prior, because you got to feel and experience that momentary bullshit.
Yep.
Because that's what it is, momentary bullshit. But you have to like get to a place where you understand that, right? Because it's the truth. Why do you think when a man cheats or a person cheats, right? And then the first method is the tears, right? Because y'all are crying when you find out, right? And then I'm going to tell you 2 things that I know that happens. That man goes to grab you to try to sexually screw you, and you are willingly going as the woman because you feel this sense of rejection because you got cheated on, and you want to give him something so he knows what he screwed over, and that you want to get one up on the woman that he's cheated on you with. So you giving it to him, he giving it to you, and both y'all done forgot that this dysfunctional bull crap just happened. And that removes the dysfunction, because abuse is broader, right, than physically putting your hands on me, mentally. That's that psychological piece, and that's where infidelity and all the other different things come into play. Or not even just infidelity, other levels of not being treated well, talking crazy to me, disrespecting your partner, like, they're the lowest piece of whatever on the floor, and then coming back and sexually trying to tell them you're sorry. Sex gets people 100% of the time. Lust is responsible for a lot of why people stay. And that's what I've experienced. And that's what I've heard from other people. And that is what I know. This isn't something I'm not my age for nothing. This is something that I know. And a lot of people don't realize that about themselves. But the
Mhm.
reality of it is that power pull of that lustful act, because you search for that again and again. They'll do that, then turn around and slap you tomorrow. physically, mentally, psychologically, whatever way of slapping you, and then turn around and treat you the same. They're treating you messed up after they just gave you all this love and you constantly still running, trying to get that same feeling. It's like a high. It's like an addiction. It is an addiction when you
It,
really
Yeah.
think about it.
Let me
So
say this. So why? I know why, but my question is why, and then I'm going to answer why. Why is it that we deal with all of this dysfunction, this abuse, and all of this? Everybody's looking for love, right? And the majority of people who are looking for love, more than likely, did not receive love prior to this relationship.
mhm.
Their household, they didn't get love. You know, they might not have got love from their dad or their mom or whatever the case may be. They didn't experience the love, or they had it and then they're no longer getting it, so now they're looking for it. So it's like we're all looking for this supplement of affection, and we're just okay with feeling it with whatever. It's like, oh, this person's giving me attention and love, and oh, I just have to jump on it. And we're jumping on something that, yes, he's loving you and he's hugging you and he might be buying you things and wine and dining you and everything else, but you're not even paying attention to this is a whole monster. This person is a terrible person, but they just filled that temporary void at that moment when you were weak and they got in. And it's sad that we have to go through it to know what it is. But there are ways for you to prevent yourself from going through it, is by, being able to see that's what it is. If you're in a low
Boundaries.
point, if you're dealing with some things, you should not be out here trying to date. And that's one thing I had to realize as an adult now in my, late 30s, almost 40, is you have to be healed within yourself before you try to bring another person into your life. If you're broken, you're only going to attract brokenness. It's just inevitable. I mean, you're not going to meet someone and this person is perfect and you're just dealing with all this stuff and you guys click. It's going to be something that you click on that is some type of dysfunction, unfortunately. And either you guys are going to heal together or you're going to break each other even more. Like that's the only way that it happens. Hopefully you heal each other together at the same time and everything's amazing and whatever else. But 9 times out of 10, that person is going to break you or you are going to break them if you are not, resolving the things that you dealt with before them. And a lot of us bring trauma that we had from previous life into relationships. So, whether you meet someone and they're abusive to you because it was happened to them when they were younger, or, it's always something like that. Like, I wish I could find the right words to say, but it's like there's so much that comes along with relationships and dating. And I think a lot of people don't take them as serious as they should. A lot of people are having kids by people that they don't know, which I have experienced that. And they're dating people they don't really know, because that person maybe isn't even showing you the real them for a long time. They might have that representative where they're just still this great person. And I was at a comedy show last week and he said, or I'm sorry, the lady said, find out who you're dating because you could be dating choke out Charlie and everybody knows he chokes out females from high school, but you the only one who don't know. And they like, oh, she was choke out Charlie. Like, you really have to get to know who you're dating. Ask about who they are in the community and their friends. And I think sometimes we don't even be one to ask people because, oh, I don't want to know who he might have dated before me. You need to know who he dated before you. You need to know how he treated people. How does he treat his family? Is he close with his mom? Is he close with his dad? Did he do something to them? I have, scenarios that, people have done things to their parents. And it's like, you wouldn't know that if you didn't ask around or talk to people. So you really have to figure out who a person is before you lay down with them and try to say, this is my forever. Because he's looking at you like, forever what? Today?
Forever this month.
Ain't no forever. We just dealing with each other.
I also want to encourage people to, I wrote this yesterday. People have been saying it to me quite frequently over the last 6 months. Stop staying away from people because you fear they can see through your BS. Because I'm going to tell you right now, I can. I really can. But it's not because I think it's because I've been in experiences. I can look at a person and I can be like, she's being abused.
Because she got the eyes like I
She,
did at that time.
she's being mistreated. I can look at a person and tell that. And
Or
it,
the
and, it,
smile
and
is
I'm
not the same
and I
anymore.
ain't even trying to say it like on no like boasting type stuff because there's nothing to boast about. It's because I'm an empath. It's because I've been there. It's because I know what it's like to isolate myself so hard and not want to be around people that I felt were elevating and growing. And I'm just in this hole, right? And so the best thing for me to do is be in my hole by myself because I don't want to bring nobody else down. I don't want to bring nobody else's situation down. I'll tell you, one time I was at the bowling alley with my family and we were, I'll never forget, we were all bowling and everybody was happy. And in the moment, I was happy because I was with my family. So my phone rang and it was, he didn't get off. I don't get off work till 10 o'clock. I need you to hit the liquor store. I'm at the bowling alley for a birthday party with my family. I don't care nothing about none of that. You know, you guys just run. I need you to run to the store. I mean, there's a store right over there across the street. I'm sure it's the store about it over. Just go grab my bottle. The fuck? And then in that instant, my mood changed from that happiness that I was feeling around my family to that turned up sick feeling in my stomach and that knot in my throat but having to have this smile on my face because I couldn't let my family know what I was dealing with, but I knew I better go get that bottle, right? So I went and did what it was that I was asked to do. Coming back, I mean, I came back, but that's not the point. The point is that that person didn't respect what I had going on, and I allowed them to disrespect by going and doing what it was. But the reason why I did what I did was because I didn't want to have something majorly big happen when I got home. Okay. These are things that we are not supposed to be enduring. Our happy moments are supposed to be our happy moments. If I told my husband right now, he asked me to do something, and I told him I'm not in a position to do it, that's the end of it. There is no, motherfucker. No, because what? We're not doing that. So it's not normal for somebody else to make you feel like what you're doing is not important because they have a unnecessary need that could wait, truly. But you don't go and run and pacify the situation because if you don't run it, because I get it, if you don't run and pacify it, then it's going to be something bigger. But if you're dealing with that, then you got to walk away from that.
Well, it's already big at that point.
Correct.
You're just trying to trick yourself into believing that you're minimizing it.
Exactly.
I was
Making
31
it
years old when I was going through that. 31 years old, and so like just God, when I think back on it, it's ridiculous. Like I can't even, that person that went and did that is not the person that's sitting here telling the story to y'all.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
it's me, but it's not me. You know what I'm saying? It becomes when you start to heal and you start to push through and you start to grow through your circumstances, you don't even recognize that person that you once were that went through those struggles, but you recognize it in other people.
Mm-hmm.
And so if I'm sitting and I see somebody's body language and their body language is reading a specific way, I'm gonna be honest, I can tell you,
Yeah.
yes, some off over there with that. And
Yeah.
I've been right about it in
Yeah.
several instances. Like, yeah, that probably is an abusive situation. And it's
Yeah.
not to make nobody feel bad. It's to help people understand that there's light at the end of the tunnel, right? Like you don't have to live like that.
At all.
So
Can we also touch base on how much time we actually give an abuser? And the more time that we give an abuser, um, the more detrimental it can become. It could be detrimental on either sides. It could be detrimental to you as being the one that's being abused or to your abuser, because what ends up eventually happening is after you endure so much of different kinds of abuse or even just one particular kind of abuse, you become so accustomed to that to where when you finally are tired of it, you're not willing to exit because now you're revengeful because of the amount of time that you put into this and the amount of things that you put into this. And so now you want some kind of payback. You want your lick back. And you then in return become that abuser, which is still not a healthy place, because then you don't even realize, because you're thinking like I'm fighting back because I'm fighting for my life. When in reality, you could have just walked away or found help to get out of that situation. So now, when you finally do get the strength to leave that relationship, you enter into your new relationship. But now you enter into this new relationship as you left off in that old relationship as the abuser, thinking like I'm protecting myself, so I'm not going to let any of this fly. And this is the consequences to that. Well, you could have had a healthy relationship, but you stayed too long in that one and gave too much to that one to where now all you did is switch roles.
I remember distinctively standing over one of my exes, and I said, I could kill him right now in his sleep and get away with it.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, both my girls were small, they were sleeping in the bed, and I'm like, what type of life would they have if I did that? And that's when I started to make my exit plan to leave. It was like, I gotta go. I cannot keep going on this path because I will end up being some brutal person that I've never thought of being. And it was like, I I I remember literally fighting with this dude. I'm talking about squared up. We literally like boxing. I put my Timberlands on every time we would argue just so I would be able to have my stance. Like, and I would always say the one thing I got positive was I learned how to fight from him. And that's a damn shame. I had to learn how to fight, like really, really fight from someone I was in love with, someone I had a child with. Like, really?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, crazy.
Which then you walk into the new relationship with all your armor on and all your guards up and
Mhm.
ready to box it out at any given moment.
Mhm.
You
Yeah, I
know
did.
what's crazy? I did. You know what's so? I don't know if it was because my husband didn't, because we did, because everything was extremely traditional, because he was dealing with women still. I was not divorced yet on paper at all. Like, we were separated, but so I don't know if it's because we didn't just like jump to like a relationship status. Because I think like we dated, we went on dates, and then my divorce was finalized. We started dealing with each other in August. My divorce was finalized in December. That's kind of like when things started to change in our relationship. We dated some more. Like, we kind of went a different course. Because I was going to say, like, I really thought I would have brought some kind of something. But you know what? I did. I brought a level of baggage. My relationship with my stepson, and how I couldn't let that go from that previous situation. That was a situation that was very hard for us in the beginning. But you do have that, and that's part of armor. So it doesn't always necessarily come in the form of you. I guess I
Fighting.
just learned that right now. Like, it doesn't always come in the form of like that kind of a fight, because I was still in a fight when it came down to my child, because I raised that child. So yeah, I guess I never looked at it that way, but
Well, just even walking in, I mean, we talking about abuse coming all these different forms. Just walking in, it could be you just now got a slick mouth, and anything could be triggering to where you ready to cuss somebody out. Maybe not physically beat them down, but ready to cuss them out. Like, who you talking to? And they be like, hold on, wait a minute. Like, I was just saying, yeah, like, you know, we come in with our chest poked out and we ready, like, because that's what we used to. We didn't be able to just let that be and just, I'm gonna sit this here because it no longer needs to come with me. I'm moving on, and this is how I need to move on. We don't enter in situations in the same route.
Right.
We enter in a little bit more fixed. And sometimes being a little bit more fixed isn't even the good thing. Um, I had to think about that with my last relationship. Like, it didn't work, and I almost was that bitter woman. And I said, "You're not going to turn me into this bitter woman, because I'm not going to sit here and bunch and boat all of you men up into one boat thinking all of you guys are the same. No, I have so much love to give that the next man that I walk into his world, I'm going to do just that, and I'm going to be focused on that versus focused on all of these red flags and whatever, because what I think might be red flags might really not be." And I had to take that time out for myself because I realized that when I did start meeting people, that's all I was seeing was red flags. And some of them weren't even really red flags. They were what I was perceiving as red flags because everything I was uncomfortable with. Your tone I'm uncomfortable with. And I was just ready on go mode, like, "Oh, you're an abuser because you're talking to me at a higher tone in your voice." Like, because I'm not used to that, or because you was just cursing while you were talking to me. Like, I'm ready for it. And I had to realize that I needed to take a time out for myself, to work on all of that, because I was still carrying all of that. I didn't let it go.
And I mean, you got to think when you go through, like you said, you already come from something, you've dealt with things. So it's like you're trying to prevent yourself from being hurt again. You're trying to
Mhm.
prevent yourself from experiencing the level of whatever it was you experienced to go through that again. So it's like, oh, that seems like what I've already did. No, 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 I don't want that. You know,
Mhm.
everything is like a trigger. So, I mean, I can understand when people come into certain things and maybe do bring baggage. Is it right? No, but it's understandable because especially depending on what this person may have went through. They may have been tortured for 17 years and now they're trying to date again. It's going to be hard. I mean, especially if you've been through a lot. I mean, so give yourself grace with that also. Just to know, like, you're not going to come and it's not going to be peaches and cream right away, because you're going to have to really take it in as it is. If it is something healthy, allow it to be healthy, allow it to be everything it's supposed to be. But if it's not, if it is a red flag, if it is a bad abusive relationship, it's better to recognize it right away, versus allowing it to stew and be something else you experience. So
And things are might even always be triggering to you. Um, I watched a segment that Sarah Jakes had, and she said, like, learning to cope with your triggers, and how to address them, like how to show up when they show up. You know what your triggers look like. You know what can be triggering to you, what you've been through, what your trauma is, and to learn how to deal with that. So when it shows up, you know how to address it, versus just going off the handle.
another thing I was going to say earlier was, I think sometimes we look at what we've been through in life and we're like, oh, I'm not perfect. And we say, because I'm not perfect, I
I
shouldn't
shouldn't.
require someone else to be perfect, which, of course, nobody is perfect. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is, don't say because you were broken or something happened to you in your childhood or whatever that you deserve to be mistreated, is what I'm saying. And I think sometimes we convince ourselves that, like, oh, I'm not the greatest person and I cuss people out. So if someone cusses me out, it's okay. No, No.
I'm a perfect example. I mistreated my first husband terribly. And so I just assumed that I was supposed to go through and deal with everything that was put on me based off of what I had done to him. So I took all that because I believed that I was supposed to be treated like that. See, we as women devalue ourselves way more than we need to. It's something that I see on a daily basis, consistently, constantly, things that we tolerate, things that we put up with for so many years, for so long. And it needs to stop somewhere within yourself. And for me, unfortunately, it didn't stop in the best place, and I feel like if we can help people get to a place where they can start to understand what's happening around them, that, and this has always been my hope in regards to helping people with this, is if we can get to you before what Devin had to go through to get there through 3 times, or Davina had to go there, to get there, if we can help you get there before you get to where we got to, then we're doing our jobs, because that's important. I for me, I think a lot of times we don't give ourselves enough grace as women to actually say, I'm worthy. I deserve to be loved. I deserve to be cared for, no matter what my past looks like, no matter what I've gone through, no matter what I've endured. You know, I I don't deserve to be treated this way. And I'm not just singling out women, right? Because let's
Men
be
can do it.
honest, men are abused too, right? And so a lot of times when men are abused, women that are doing the abusing are women that are also, what is the word? Um, Dang it. I don't want to say it's not toxic, damaged. There we go. Who
Hmm.
have been damaged and
Broken.
have gone
Yeah.
through some things as well. And the honest God truth is, though, I'll be honest, a man will leave you before a woman will. A man will leave you because a man ain't gonna risk his freedom dealing with your bullshit.
Well,
Sometimes.
I was gonna say, because I've seen men who do stay in toxic situations longer than they should. I feel like it's 50-50 with both. It
Yeah,
all
it can
depends
be.
on the person and what their tolerance is and all of that. So, but yeah, I have seen more men leave than women.
Me
Um,
too.
yeah, but yeah.
I
Like
want
I
to
said,
add.
there's no
I want.
number. There's no numerical, but if we did it, I'm sure if we did a study on it, we'd probably find that more men probably do leave.
I want to add a layer onto that as well. Is because um, I have never went and found someone that was damaged and said like this is all I deserve is because I'm damaged too. So because I'm damaged, I only deserve damaged good. But I can say that for a long time and still even to this day, I am a person that feels like people didn't give me enough grace in life. And so that I owe that to somebody else. When I see that I'm with somebody that is damaged, I give them the grace that I felt was owed to me, which not everybody is worthy for that grace. Because if they're not giving themselves that grace, why should you have to give it to them?
That part.
Um, and I'm just now realizing that at 45. Um, you have to give yourself grace before somebody else can give you grace. You have to be able to be worthy to yourself before you can be worthy for somebody else. And so it was never that I thought like because I'm damaged or I'm broken that this is all I'm deserving of, but it's kind of that, treat others how you want to be treated kind of ordeal. And that only goes a little bit of a way, and we need to start rethinking and recalibrating our brains on that of I can want the best for you, but if you don't want it, it ain't never gonna happen. I'm gonna be sitting here and I'm gonna run 10 miles while you kick back with your feet up, and you still gonna be the same person after I run these 10 miles.
What I say? You can't change a grown
And
man.
Until you are willing to do the work
You
for
gotta change.
yourself,
Exactly.
there is no work that I can do for you. And a lot of people also do that, like, oh, I'm going to go and get me a fixer upper and I'm going to get them together. If he's not choosing to get together or put himself together and do half of that work, he'll never be together. And same thing for women. We have to all, as individuals, put that work in. And if we're not willing to get up and put in that work, and it's not 50-50, it's 100-100. Like I gotta make sure that I maintain and get together all of what's on my plate, and you also need to do all of that on yours. Nothing that you have going on in your world should spill over off onto my plate, and vice versa. We all need to get up and we gotta do this work.
I just wanted to say thank you to, and I apologize if I'm saying your name wrong. Kamika sent us 50 stars, y'all. Thank you, Kamika. We
Thank
Thank you. I
appreciate
appreciate
you.
that. Truly.
Yes.
I did want to, and I apologize if I interrupted you.
No, you could.
You good?
I just wanted to kind of touch the basis of self love. And I know we're having uh, an event on the 9th in regards to self love and accountability. But it's really when you love yourself, you know what you deserve. You will not allow anyone to treat you in a way that you would not treat yourself. And that's the truth. For years, I did not love myself as much as I thought I did. I don't care how many hairstyles I did, how many nice clothes I had on, how many jokes I told, until I truly loved me inside and out. I allowed people to treat me however they chose to. And that's one thing you have to look in the mirror and ask yourself, am I really loving me?
Mm-hmm.
Are you? And if you are, what in your life does not belong there? And that might be a hard question to ask, but you really have to ask that sometimes because if you look at it, it could be a family member. It doesn't necessarily have to be your significant other. It could be people in your life, friends, family. It could be a job that something is just not treating you correctly for you to be the best authentic self, right? That's when you really have to say, how do I get out of this? Do I just remove it? Do I change jobs? Do I move? Do I break up with this person? Or is this somebody I just should not be around anymore? It is a hard question, but that is something you have to ask yourself. Is this person draining me?
And be prepared to make the changes.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you're looking in that mirror, you want to ask yourself or remind yourself you can't grow if you can't let go.
Mm-hmm.
See, growth requires you to be able to let go of things that are stunting your growth. So you will not grow if you can't let go. And I don't care if God, because God, I'm going to tell you something. God will let you move all over in good places with this particular person, with these friends, with whoever. And you think everything is flowing smoothly in your life. God could be showing you a lesson, baby, to let you know that this ride might look like it's smooth and it's going good right now, but you will get hit with some stuff if these people are not supposed to be in your life. You cannot make people be what it is you want them to be. You're not going to grow if you can't let go of what you've been over and over and over shown that you need to let go of. Had to learn that the hard way.
I
All
agree.
I think all of us did. I
Mm-hmm.
think that every man that I tried to build up and get together did not do any changes until after I walked away.
So mine still ain't even changed.
I
I'll be
don't know
looking
the
like,
status
ooh,
of mine.
look, I'll be looking like, ooh, don't tell people we got a kid.
Yeah. Mm-mm.
That ain't my baby daddy. That's her dad.
I don't, and you probably only know the status because you share a child with the
Hmm.
person. I don't know the status, don't know, don't want to know, don't
Exactly.
care. Stay over there.
I still don't care, but I get
But yeah, but
updated
you gotta, yeah.
periodically, and I'm like, "Woo, that looked like."
Well, I have a huge heart, and so I I keep in contact with some of my exes just to see how they're doing. Like every now and again, I'll run into them or I'll see them, and I'll just ask them like how things going. Not all of them got it together, but some of them did get it together afterwards. And sometimes when we walk into somebody's life and we think like we're here to repair you, we're actually just that crutch, and they can't be repaired until we remove ourselves because we became that crutch. Um, and that's just as harmful is to walk into somebody's life and become an instant crutch, not even realizing that that's what you're doing. And all both of you guys are doing is burning time that we can't steal, we can't borrow, we can't buy, we can't reverse, none of that.
I have had people come and tell me after they've actually left the situation that they didn't want me to know that they were going through what they were going through. So they isolated themselves from me and alienated themselves because they knew I was see. I actually just had this happen to me over this weekend.
Of course. Come
So
on. If I was being beat up right now, and not saying I am, because I'm definitely not. I'm definitely not. Let me
girl, ain't
say
nobody
that.
over there doing nothing to you. Anyway,
Just
But
that baby, just the baby.
just
yeah,
somebody.
exactly. He'd be headbutting me and everything. But nobody wants to share. Like I said, it's embarrassing. Nobody
Yeah,
wants to say that. Like
yeah.
if you happen to, touch somebody's arm and it's sore and they're like, "Oh, I slam my car the door and the you know what I mean? Like they're
F
making up
that.
something.
F that. If
Everything.
you know if the right person walk across to you and ask you how you doing and you instantly have a meltdown,
Yeah,
something
that
is
too.
not right.
That yeah. And I've did that plenty of times. We had those moments
I
where
think I've had more breakdowns than a little bit.
like
Um,
out of nowhere.
out of
Oh,
nowhere. Like you just know that you can't even handle the how are you doing, and you were just feeling like you were fine just 10 minutes ago, and now all of a sudden this person came and asked you how you doing, not
mhm.
even knowing what it is that you was going through. How you doing, girl? Like, and then instantly like the flood of all of that pressure
We need to
starts.
do a retreat
We do.
We do.
Yes, we do. 2025. Let's get it in the
for
work.
DV survivors because I feel like people that are still in it wouldn't feel comfortable. And I'm gonna be real, a lot of people that are still in certain situations don't feel comfortable putting themselves and presenting themselves amongst people that have come out of those things. And that's the truth. But
Yeah.
we should have something along those lines and really just heal together. Like I really hope that people take away from this podcast or any of the other ones that we've done for this particular topic because we go hard on this topic because that's how we came together as a business in the first place. Though we've expanded to many different avenues, this is how we came together. And so it is very important that we help other people understand that they need to get out of situations that are not helping them grow, and these situations can kill you, and it ain't just somebody hit you and knocked you upside your head. Mental stress, emotional stress, you can end up in the hospital. You can end up an alcoholic. You can end up a drug addict because you're trying to find different coping mechanisms to withstand all the trauma that you're dealing with. And then all of a sudden you're not recognizing who you are anymore. And then you just become something else. And then anything can happen. Your kids don't recognize you. Like a lot of things happen, and I'm gonna be honest with you too. I don't have this experience because my daughter has special needs, but I bet you, oh, the things she would tell me. But I really believe, a lot of times when your kids get older, they gonna let you know
Oh,
how what they've endured in the middle of your mess. They're
they
gonna let you
definitely,
know.
they
And so your
definitely
kids see your kids see a lot. So if you
have.
still have small children, my hope and my prayer is that you're able to remove yourself from certain situations to help give them a better quality of understanding as
And
they
they
get
pay
older.
attention to way more than you think.
Yeah, they
Uh,
do.
because if you can remember something from kindergarten or fourth grade, you think that they don't remember anything that's going on in their
They
house
do.
on a daily basis, or They can see that, their mom isn't smiling like she usually does, or
Or
maybe
that they hear
mom,
you cry
yeah, or maybe
when you
mom
think no
usually
one does.
listens to music and dances, and now she's no longer listening to music and dancing. Like, they pay attention to everything.
Mhm.
Maybe your hug and kiss in the morning just isn't as tight, or it's even tighter. They notice everything about you. They came from you. They're a part of you. So anytime you feel like you're keeping something from your kids, or they don't know, it's okay. I'll deal with it on my own. No, they know. They know. So you need to keep that in mind and say, is this how I want my kids to think? Either if she's a daughter or a son, do I want my daughter to have a man like this, like her father, or whoever you're
Right.
dating? Or do I want my son to grow up and be an abuser like her father? I mean, his father, or my boyfriend. Like, those are things you have to keep in mind when you are dealing with things. It's not just about you if you have children. It does affect your children significantly.
But
Shit
it
is
does,
serious. You
but it
said,
does, it
yeah, I
needs to
said
be,
shit.
it needs to
Shit is
always
serious.
be communicated. And if alterations are not willing to be made, then you need to think what's best for you at that moment.
That's right.
Because if you can't be the healthiest version of you, you can't be anything for anyone else.
And if even you communicating that you have an issue with something is an issue, that's the problem right there. You should be
Mhm.
able to voice when something does not feel right to your partner. If something does not, align with the way you want to live, you should be able to say that. I don't like this. I
Yeah.
don't want this to be happening. I don't like when you drink like this. I don't like when you spend money. I don't like when you stay out late. Whatever the case might be, those are all toxic things that can lead to something else. Voice it.
Mhm.
And if it's a problem about voicing it, then that gives you an answer right there. And everything is not necessarily abusive, but it is toxic.
Mhm.
It could lead to something else. So you just have to keep all those things in mind and just say, I deserve better. Even if it's just you being with yourself. Yeah, you might have been dating or been married for 20 something years, but you might be better off on your own.
And being alone is scary. It's uncomfortable at times and whatever, whatnot. Um, I've been there. I'm there. I'm going through all of my different emotions of I want a partner, but I have to be patient and literally not be willing to take the first bus that comes my way. Um, because not every bus is meant for you.
Now that
Um,
transmission might be going out.
mhm. And so, just to be transparent, I literally met someone and was emotionally a wreck. I don't want to say that I was emotionally being abused, but I was being taken advantage of, um, which caused emotional distress. Um, it's not a good place to be in. And so anything that's not sitting well with you or aligning with what it is that you want or you see yourself, don't tolerate it. Don't put up with it. Don't invest any time in it. We don't have time to be wasting.
The number one thing you cannot get back is your time. And who wants to be in their late 50s, 60s, or whatever, and not putting shade on anybody that is in that age range, but nobody wants to have to try to redo their life later on in life when you could have caught it, umpteen years earlier. Um, you know, I don't know. I just, every time I say this and we talk about this topic, I know that there are so many people watching and listening, and they feel like, but what are you really gonna do? Because I always get that. What are you really gonna do? And it's like, you really don't know what help people can do. There are so many people willing to help, willing to help your situation. And whether you have kids, whether you don't have kids, there are so many shelters out here. There are so many programs that can, we can get you involved in. So don't say, what can we do? Why don't you say, I need help? I don't know what I need help with, because it might not even be much. You
It
might
might just be a ear.
You might just need somebody to be there when you move out of your house with you. You might not need anything more than that. You might just need support. For
You
some reason,
might just need to say it.
that too.
You might just need to say it and start off that way.
Hmm.
And I think that that's where it starts, is because when you have to hear your own self say what it is that sits uncomfortable with you, then all of a sudden you start to flood of all of the other things that you didn't even think about. And then you're able to start taking inventory of all the things that happened and took place that just didn't sit right with you, that didn't feel good to you. Then you start to catch all of the other red flags that you missed and
Hmm.
that you should have caught. And
Everybody has that moment, that breaking moment, though.
that,
Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
and
mine was
it
mine
is.
came when mine came. I got to I oof, mine came. Let me tell you real quick. Mine came when he came here. When I here came there to the house and said to me, "You lucky I came in this motherfucker at all." After being gone out to a work party till 4 o'clock in the morning, and I was like, That's all I said was and it was looked at me drunk as shit and said, "You lucky I came this motherfucker at all." And then the next day, I find out that he had attempted to cheat, is what he said, with his boss or coworker, whatnot. And then this the kicker, y'all. And then tells me 2 days later he's gonna go help her move. He
Oh,
has to because as a man of a man of Jehovah, he has to do that because he has to be a man that honors his word. When I tell you I sat on my couch, I didn't blink, give a sound. If you want to come with me, you can come with me. When I say I sat there in my big white robe and my white fuzzy slippers, and I was eating some ice cream, and I remember sitting there watching the Temptations, and I just said, "Yeah, you done. You're done. I'm
Hmm.
done." As soon as he walked out that door, I called my friend and I said, "Listen, I can't do this no more." Do what? What's going on? This motherfucker been just doing the most. I've been being mentally, physically, emotionally, and just blurted it out. But the people I blurted, it had to come out. Like we have to reach a point, right? Sometimes, some of us, where it just comes out to
everyone does.
somebody.
Yeah.
Everyone does. I'm usually so good at getting up in the morning and washing my face and applying my smile, but you come to that cracking point to where you just cannot hold it in any longer.
Hmm.
And like I said, it all it takes is for that one, "How you doing?" Like, "Hey girl, how you doing?" And then all of a sudden it's like the meltdown.
And don't hold that back, because if it's
Oh,
coming up and you're starting to say it and your emotions are letting you flow, let it flow, because whoever it is, your body is sensing that it is comfortable to have that conversation with this person.
but I can say is during that time, take filter and take note of what is going through your mind of why it is that you're breaking down and melting down. Because a lot of times when we break down and we melt down, we're extra vulnerable. And then that's when we get into that slippery slope of, was it my fault? Did I do something wrong? Could I have done something better? Why can't I be good enough? Um, that unworthiness starts to sink in and slip in, and all of that nasty stuff that we shouldn't even be allowing ourselves to have that space in our minds, because we already know that we were better than that, we deserve better than that, and that we shouldn't be tolerating and putting up with anything of that such.
And something we need to stop thinking about, because I know I thought about this several times. What if I leave him and he treats someone better than me? Who cares?
Or what if I leave him and he decides to get it together?
Yeah, who cares?
That's
And
what he's supposed to do, but
right.
it ain't with you.
And let me say this, because we're laughing about certain situations, and this is not a laughing matter. The only reason why we can make light and laugh about certain situations is because we lived it and we're past it. So I do want to say we're not laughing at any of these situations. They are
Definitely not.
very serious situations. If you are dealing with them, We're not making fun of anything you're dealing with.
Oh,
Definitely
We
not.
want you to know that there is light at the end of that tunnel. I had so many dark days to where, as much as I laugh now, I used to not laugh at all unless it was a fake laugh or, me
Fake
trying to put on
smiles.
this, yeah, fake persona. Like I remember when I broke up with my third abuser and I seen my friends for the first time, and they all were like, it's something about you that is just vibrating and illuminating. Like, what's going on? You look so amazing. And I broke down, but the breakdown was more of a release. Now I can tell you what I went through,
Yes.
what I survived, what I'm no longer dealing with. And they all was looking like, girl, what? We didn't know he was doing all that.
well, I
Hmm.
mean, look at the situation for me last year.
Mm-hmm.
I seen you on Friday, the day before my birthday, and it was like I had the most amazing birthday party, and it wasn't even my birthday party. And then my actual birthday party came, and you were like, I felt like yesterday was your birthday party. And it was because that individual wasn't present the day before my party, but then ended up showing up and being present on at my party, which then just dampened the whole entire night.
It was literally like night and day. Like it was literally like if somebody had $1,000 check that they could just splurge for no apparent reason, and then the next day they broke, they ain't got two pennies to rub together. Like literally, like
And when you
just
said that
having
to
the
me, I
brightest
felt it in my soul. Like,
time.
you're right. Like, I felt amazing. I felt like all of my loved ones was here. I felt beautiful. I felt like, couldn't nobody say anything to me. Like, and then my birthday party actually came and it was like, I'm just going to sit here in this corner because the entire night is going to be ruined regardless of whatever I try to do.
And it literally hurt me to see you going through that because it's like if I could just snatch you away.
When
And
you came and you said it, it didn't even dawn on me that that's what it was like until you said it to me. Like,
I was
yeah,
like, he's draining you. I told her, I said,
sucking the
he's
life right out of
sucking
me.
the life out of you. Yeah. Because I could literally, the person I know and love, and that's been my best friend for all these years, you can see the person deteriorating based on who they're with. Like, it's, you can't not see that. You can literally see that. So it was just hard to see her going through that. It's like, and you stick by your friend, you're there, but it's still hard to be there and not be able to remove that person from that situation. They have to leave on their own will, their own, strength. So it's like I had to wait on her to really see this is not what it is. And
And
I'm thankful you made
and
it
as much
out.
as you think that you're hiding it, you're not hiding it because people really do see it. So I didn't try to speak to anybody about what I was going through or the fact that, yes, I even felt like the life was being drained out of me. I felt defeated every day. Um, and it was like I was alive as long as I was away from him. And as soon as he would walk in the room, it was like instantly, you just sucked everything out of me, and I have nothing to offer anyone, not even myself. But I didn't speak on it because I didn't want anybody to know what I was going through. But everyone knew. And so I had to just, I literally told my daughter this. She's in a current abusive relationship. And I told her, I said, so here you are, you're walking around with a crackhead, thinking that you're not a crackhead. You look just like he looks. You have that same image, and everybody, and until you step away from that and remove yourself, you're not even going to realize that he looked like a whole crackhead.
It's an
Like,
old saying, don't argue with fools because from a distance, nobody can tell who the actual fool is.
mm-hmm,
It looks exactly the same.
exactly the same. And I said, you have to entrust in the process. And the process is to know that only the Lord knows who your person is. And he's going to place the people that you need in your life for those reasons and those seasons. And he is going to remove the people and show you things. So when you start to get those gut instincts or those nasty thoughts in your mind, that is God stirring your world up, saying, you know what, you're not supposed to be here. And you're supposed to entrust in that process. And you're supposed to say, okay, that was my sign that I got to get up out of here because my gut is telling me you ain't no good for me. My mind is telling me you ain't no good for me. You are showing me that you ain't no good for me. So there is no more convincing. When the Lord says it is time, it is time.
That's literally like, you know how you get your prescription for your new glasses every
Mm-hmm.
year? That's literally like you wearing some glasses that the prescription expired 5 years ago, but you
And
still trying to see.
you in it squinting.
You're right. You still trying to see
Right.
exactly the same. It expired. Just let that go.
And you might think like if I let it go, I let it go too early. No, if it was meant for you, it'll come back. Trust in the process. The process is to never lose your faith and have faith in the Lord that He'll do exactly what it is because He knows what you need and He knows what you want. He knows where your heart lies. But you don't know how many times I thought this was the one. Lord, like, can He just love me? Can He just be here for me? Now I look back, I'd be in a whole tent on a corner somewhere with one of these dudes. Maybe probably about four of these dudes. Like, nah, he knew what he was doing. Like, those was bullets. Dodged. For real, for real. Like,
Somewhere looking crazy in a corner.
because I would have still loved that man so goddamn much that I would have got in the tent with him. Like, all right.
Yep.
Like, no, he couldn't go where I was going. He wasn't built for what I'm built for. And so I have to trust in the process.
And if you do find yourself in a tent and you wake up and you say, "This ain't my life. This ain't where I'm supposed to be at," reach out
Time
for
to
help.
go.
Reach out for help. We have plenty of resources to help women to get through whatever it is they're getting through. If
And
we can't directly help you, we will redirect you to where exactly you need to get that help from. So
and
don't
But we
feel
do have support groups and we do have support services. We have Monday night support group. We have Thursday night healing 101. We have other services, individual online support group services that just launched. We also have, the prayer lines that help. We also have the kids prayer line. We also wrote and published a healing journal that Devin is holding up right now. It's talks about spirituality, growth, healing, and recovery. All four of us covered a section on those different topics. So, please go on to Amazon too and purchase those things. We also have an event coming up 11/9 on self-love and accountability. That's not an event to judge anybody. We're going to have some fun. We've got some vendors there. We're going to do some activities geared towards your own self-development, self-love. This is not an event about domestic violence. This is an event geared towards developing, growing, healing. We'll have some, like I said, several vendors and some books on hand too for you guys as well, if you want to purchase that way. But we're here to help
that's
heal, right, as a community.
you didn't
So
say about our speaker.
I'll let somebody else talk.
We're having our speaker Tennille. What is her last name? I don't want to butcher
Thomas.
it. Thomas. She's going to be an amazing speaker. She briefly spoke at our last event just by answering a question, and she was phenomenal within that time
Powerful.
frame. So I already know her speech is going to be on point. And like Eb said, it is not a domestic violence event. This is event about self love and accountability. So that does not mean because we're talking about domestic violence right now that we're going to talk about it then. We're talking about
right.
things and ways for you to love yourself, to be accountable for yourself. So that is any woman who is watching this, any woman who is in our group, any woman you may know, your mother, your daughter, any woman can value, take value from this event. So don't feel as though that's not my situation. Yes, it is.
That part. It's not my situation. Yeah. And
Yes,
when
it
you
is.
leave, you'll be like,
We
dang.
all need to love ourselves and
Yeah.
Yeah,
learn how
it is.
to our toolbox can never be too full with
Right.
Never.
self-love.
Yeah. And it's also a time for us to just get together as ladies and love on each other. Like Eb said, we're gonna have vendors. We're gonna have a list of our vendors coming out soon, just so you can see if there is someone who specifically you wanted to buy something from. They will be there because we're gonna have some amazing vendors. The um, I just lost my train of thought. The speaker, she's going to be amazing, and we'll be in St. Paul, so that's a center location where everybody should be able to get to. So,
A space and a place where you can meet other not judgmental women.
and you don't have to come with somebody. If somebody ain't willing to come with you, come by yourself. Come, come. And we're wearing pink, but you don't have to wear pink. So don't let that be something. Oh, I don't got pink. I don't look good in pink, so I'm not coming. Wear whatever you want to wear.
Whatever you want to wear.
Buy your
Show
ticket.
how you want to show up.
Buy your ticket and come out on the 9th. Everybody is welcome. If you're not part of Women Empowered, our women's group, that's okay. You can still buy a ticket. Maybe you'll want to be a part of it after that. Bring your grandmother, bring your mother, bring your sister, bring your auntie. Everybody can come. So don't feel as though it's limited to anyone, because if you are a woman, this event is for you.
Definitely.
My one takeaway. I'm going to give y'all my takeaway now.
Go ahead.
My takeaway is anybody and everybody that is listening to this, it is okay to start over as many times as you need. I think God stirs the pot for us sometimes to start over due to the fact that we even sometimes become stagnant and don't even know that we're stagnant. And so don't be afraid to start over. Your new start might be a fresh start, and it might even be better than where it was that you left off in your old self.
Mm-hmm. I like that. Yep.
Please come out of isolation.
Ooh.
Please talk to somebody about whatever it is that you have going on or that you're going through. You never know where your help can come from. You
Mm-hmm.
never know if you need help. You won't even know if you need help or if you don't need help if you don't find someone safe to talk to. But
Mm-hmm.
everybody needs somebody safe to talk to. So find someone safe to talk to. And I will tell you that Women Empowered is a safe space. So you can even reach out to one of us or all of us, but please find someone safe to talk to.
Yes. I like that.
I
My takeaway would be love yourself. And I mean truly love yourself. Whether that's you getting in the gym, eating better, going to bed earlier, cutting out people who are toxic in your life, it's going back to school, whatever it is that you need to do to actually physically, mentally love yourself, start doing it.
Mhm.
Don't wait. Don't wait for the new year. Don't wait on somebody else to do it. You do it. Give the love to yourself that you're expecting from other people. So if you're out here looking for love and you want to be in a relationship, there's nothing wrong with that. However, love yourself first and then everything after that. All right. Well, we love y'all. We're gonna let y'all go. Saturday we will be having a hot seat Saturday, so look out for that. We'll be on Saturday, and then we'll see y'all next Wednesday. Good night.
Good night.